Hello, and welcome to this pre-recorded event for GCE Music, Current Specification, Controlled Assessment Marking Training for Performance Unit 4, 6MU04. Resources you will need to support the session. To help you get the most out of this training event, you will need to have the following documents to hand, as we will refer to them. These are 1. The assessment criteria for this unit, including the difficulty level scaling grid. 2. The scores of the 5 performances we will be listening to. Aims and objectives of today's event. By the end of this event, you should have an understanding of the assessment criteria for this unit, and will have practiced applying them accurately. We will also consider difficulty levels and their application. We will briefly mention how technology is used for some submissions, and we will also look at the assessment of improvisations and ensemble performances. Preparing students for Unit 4. Preparation for the Unit 4 performance submission can take place from the end of the AS year until the spring of the A2 course. It is important that teachers encourage and promote improvement throughout that time. In particular, teachers have to be aware of 1. What students must submit. 2. The role of the accompanist, where appropriate. And 3. How students can improve their performance skills during the course. Slides 5, 6 and 7 will deal in turn with these 3 points. What do students need to submit? The specification requires A2 music students to submit a recording of a performance lasting 12 to 15 minutes. Importantly, this time does not include gaps between pieces, warming up, or tuning up. Students may perform one or more pieces to make up the 12 to 15 minutes. Teachers should note that there is a penalty for short submissions, as outlined in the specification, page 66. This penalty is introduced for performances shorter than 11.5 minutes and must be applied by the teacher when calculating the final mark. Longer performances are not penalised, and teachers and moderators must listen to the whole performance in every case. The pieces performed should be unabridged. Long introductions or repeats may be omitted if desired, but there is no requirement to do so. The performance can be either as a soloist or as part of an ensemble. If the latter, the specification requires 1. That the ensemble be no more than 5 performers, and 2. That the part to be assessed must be clearly audible throughout. Most importantly, the entire performance must be recorded in one take, not compiled throughout the duration of the course. This does not mean that the student should be given only one opportunity to record their performance. Rather, it means that at each opportunity they must record the whole performance and not edit performances together. Performances at A2 must always be in front of an audience of at least 2 people. In order for the assessment to be effective, each performance must be submitted with a score or, if it is an improvisation, with a musical stimulus. This score or stimulus must be sufficiently detailed to ensure that the assessment criteria can be accurately applied. Lead sheets and tab scores without indication of melody, rhythm, dynamics or similar will usually be inadequate to the needs of this specification. The role of the accompanist. The accompaniment to a solo performance is an integral part of the composer's vision and should always be present. Backing tracks are acceptable accompaniments, but must not double the part being assessed, nor should they contain audible click tracks, which will inevitably affect the quality of the overall performance from a listener's, examiner's, or moderator's perspective. With the best interests of their students in mind, teachers should be aware that accompaniments should not distract the performer or detract from their performance. Moderators have reported several instances when the accompaniment has been less than supportive of the work the candidate has submitted, and has then had a negative impact on the performance as a whole. Improving performance during the A2 course. We learn from each other as performers, and A2 students are usually in the early stages of finding their individual voices as musicians. To encourage them to achieve their best, teachers can try a variety of strategies. But by far, the most effective will be to encourage a culture of regular public performance. Students should also be encouraged to watch and listen to a range of experienced performers, whether live or via the abundance of websites now offering this opportunity. It will certainly help all students to be fully aware of the assessment criteria if they discuss and assess each other's work. Many students do seem to find it useful to see how the assessment criteria work in this way. And often they are the harshest and most effective critics of their own work when it is viewed, or rather heard, dispassionately from recordings. Teachers might consider using performance recordings in the context of other musical activities, including oral analysis. Moderators regularly report that students achieve the best marks if they have technical control of the music they are performing, so that they are free to use their musical imagination to bring it fully to life. Students should not be encouraged to present performances of pieces that stretch their technical skills beyond their current ability. Presenting students' work. To meet the requirements of the specification, each student must submit a recording of their performance for assessment. This recording can be on CD or minidisc, but teachers must ensure that the disc is properly finalized so that it is playable on standard audio equipment. The recording must be accompanied by a score or stimulus for improvisation. This work must be authenticated as the student's own with the signatures of both the student and the teacher. If these signatures are absent, the work can only be awarded a mark of 0. The presentation of the student's work is not assessed in this unit, but it should be self-evident that the recording must be clear enough for the teacher, examiner, and the moderator to hear the musical detail of the student's performance. High-quality recording devices, often small but effective, are now widely available at very little cost and provide accurate reproduction in a range of acoustic environments. Understanding the assessment criteria. Teachers undertake the initial assessment of their students' submissions for this unit. A sample of this work is then moderated externally to ensure that the teacher's assessment is in line with the national standard. Where multiple teachers have been involved in the initial assessment, it is important that centres ensure a process of internal standardisation has taken place before marks are agreed and submitted. Teachers are encouraged to mark the recording, not the live performance at which the recording was taken. If a student submits more than one piece to make up their 12 to 15 minutes, each piece is assessed individually, and then an average created. This is a simple average, taking no account of the comparative lengths of the pieces submitted. The assessment criteria cover 9 broad bands of achievement at all levels, from outstanding downwards, as slide 9 shows. We will now explore the application of the assessment criteria in greater detail, so it will be useful if you have them in front of you now. By the way, there is a 6th criterion at A2 covering the performance as a whole, which is assessed independently. We will consider this later. Applying the assessment criteria. The first stage of assessment is arriving at an holistic mark out of 40 for each piece. See the specification, page 68. Rather than picking a precise figure for this mark, it is usually most effective if the broad mark band is selected. For example, if after listening to it, the teacher thinks the performance is confident because it is mostly convincing, secure, and sensitive, that will indicate that the holistic mark will fall within the range 26 to 30. There is no need to select a single mark within that range at this stage, because the band itself suffices. The teacher then goes on to apply the 5 detailed criteria that we will be looking at more closely in a moment. Adding these 5 detailed marks together should come to a total within the selected holistic mark range. If this is not the case, then either 1. The holistic range needs to be altered to match the detailed marks, or 2. The detailed marks need to be reassessed to bring the total in line with the original holistic mark. This is how the raw mark for each performance is achieved. Performance from score. The 5 detailed criteria. Criterion 1. Quality of outcome. There are 5 detailed criteria that teachers apply when assessing their students' work. In each case, the 9 descriptors are matched by a single mark, and teachers award the mark based on the statement closest to the standard of the work presented. There are different detailed criteria for performance from score and for improvisation. See the specification, pages 69 to 73 for the score criteria, and pages 76 to 80 for the improvisation criteria. The vast majority of music submitted for this unit is performance from score. So, we will begin by focusing on the assessment criteria for these performances, looking at improvisations later. The first detailed criterion is quality of outcome. This criterion is designed to reflect the overall security and effectiveness of the performance, covering all aspects of interpretation and communication in general. Additional descriptors are provided in this criterion for ensemble performances. The descriptors cover a wide range of achievement from students. To achieve the highest mark, a performance must demonstrate a mature, exciting, and imaginative interpretation with a strong sense of authority and communication throughout. Performance from score. The 5 detailed criteria. Criterion 2. Pitch and rhythm. The second detailed criterion is pitch and rhythm. Here, assessment is made as to the accuracy of the performance submitted when compared with the score provided. Interest terms of 1. Pitch, and 2. Rhythm. Interpretational detail and technical issues, such as intonation, are not assessed in this criterion. It should be noted that idiomatic deviations from the score, such as some rhythmic freedom in a musical theatre performance or appropriate ornamentation in a Baroque sonata, are acceptable. The highest level performances in this criterion will have only 1 or 2 inconsequential slips in accuracy. Performance from score, the 5 detailed criteria. Criterion 3, Fluency and Tempo. The third detailed criterion covers fluency and tempo. Entirely fluent performances proceed without either hesitation or omission. Similarly, the tempo should be appropriate and consistent, with any change of tempo handled stylistically and effectively. An entirely fluent performance at an appropriate and consistent speed throughout will achieve the top mark. Performance from score, the 5 detailed criteria. Criterion 4, Tone and Technique. Tone and technique are covered in the 4th detailed criterion. Here, assessment is made of the quality of the sound produced, and of the handling of any technical requirements within the music. Where appropriate, these technical requirements include intonation and coordination, amongst other things. Performances worthy of top marks here will have an impressive tone quality across the whole pitch range and demonstrate secure technical control throughout. Performance from score, the 5 detailed criteria. Criterion 5, Phrasing, Articulation, and Dynamics. The final detailed criterion covers phrasing, articulation, and dynamics. Phrasing, articulation, and dynamics are the subtle musical details that bring a performance to life. If the composer has provided any instructions on the score, the student is expected to release them. If there are no instructions, the student will apply such detail, with imagination, to create a communicative performance. Consideration may need to be given to the limitations of the instrument, for example, to the limited dynamic range of a recorder. At the highest level, the performance detail referred to in Criterion 5 will be applied with subtlety and imagination throughout. Performance from score, Performance 1. Now it is time to practice using these assessment criteria. We shall begin by listening to a piano piece. Nocturne in D-flat major by Chopin. Piano is one of the most popular instruments submitted by students, so it is a good choice for practicing applying the assessment criteria. On first listening, make an assessment of the appropriate holistic band for this piece. Play audio track 1. This piece would be correctly placed in the confident mark band, 26 to 30 marks, a performance that is convincing for most of the time, but with some errors. Now that we have selected an appropriate holistic mark band, it is time to apply the marking criteria in greater detail. We will listen to the piece once more, and you can now select the appropriate detailed marks for each criterion. Play audio track 1 again. The individual criterion marks should come to Criterion 1, 6 marks, out of 8, as it is a confident but unsubtle interpretation. Criterion 2, 5 marks, primarily because of some missing notes. Criterion 3, 4 marks, since fluency is broken. Criterion 4, 5 marks, since there is some technical weakness evident. Criterion 5, 6 marks, reflecting some careful attention to performance detail. This gives a raw mark for the performance of this piece as 26 marks, which is at the bottom of our holistic band. Performance from score, Performance 2. Voice is another popular instrument submitted by students, so we will move on to a vocal performance. It consists of two pieces. I Will Be Loved Tonight and Someone to Watch Over Me. We will only listen to this performance once, but that should give you time to apply the assessment criteria. Play audio track 2. The first of these songs comes into the excellent mark band, 31 to 35 marks. When applying the detailed criteria, we come to the following conclusions. Criterion 1, 7 marks. Criterion 2, 7 marks. Criterion 3, 6 marks. Criterion 4, 6 marks. Criterion 5, 6 marks. This gives a final raw mark of 32 marks, which is in the middle of the holistic band we selected. The second song is in the confident mark band, 26 to 30 marks, with individual criteria marks as follows. Criterion 1, 6 marks. Criterion 2, 6 marks. Criterion 3, 6 marks. Criterion 4, 6 marks. Criterion 5, 5 marks. This gives a final raw mark of 29 marks, which is near the top of the holistic mark band initially selected. Performance from score, Performance 3. The third performance we are going to listen to also has two pieces, both for flute. Strut It by Moa and The First Movement of a Sonatina by Pop. Again, we will only listen to the performance once, but this should still allow you time to practice using the assessment criteria. Play audio track 3. The first piece falls into the excellent mark band, 31 to 35 marks. The individual criteria marks are Criterion 1, 7 marks, since there is a good sense of style and communication. Criterion 2, 6 marks, since it is generally accurate. Criterion 3, 6 marks, since it is not always steady. Criterion 4, 7 marks. Criterion 5, 7 marks. This gives a final raw mark of 33, within the original holistic band. The second piece also falls into the excellent mark band. The individual criteria marks are Criterion 1, 6 marks. Criterion 2, 6 marks, because of some errors. Criterion 3, 7 marks. Criterion 4, 6 marks. Criterion 5, 7 marks. This gives a final raw mark of 32, again within the original holistic band. Difficulty levels. With all these performances, we have been dealing with raw marks. To create the final mark, these raw marks are scaled based on the difficulty of the music performed. This is known as the difficulty level. At A2 level, the standard difficulty level equates to grade 6 of the syllabuses of the many practical examination boards, such as Trinity Guildhall, Rock School, ABRSM, etc. Grade 7 music is considered more difficult. Grade 8 music and harder is considered higher level. At the other end of the scale, Grade 5 standard pieces can only achieve a maximum of 7 out of 8 on each of the detailed criteria, capping the maximum available mark at 35 out of 40. See specification, page 66. Music at grade 4 level and below can only achieve a maximum of 6 out of 8 on each of the detailed criteria, capping the maximum available mark at 30 out of 40. Difficulty levels. It is important that students are not distracted by difficulty levels. They will be wrong if they think that they will end up with a higher mark for simply attempting harder music. In fact, moderators regularly report that the best marks are achieved when students perform music that falls well within their technical capability, enabling them to play with confidence and to apply appropriate interpretational detail. On the edXL website, a lengthy difficulty levels booklet can be found, giving definitive levels for the most common pieces on the most common instruments. Slide 20. Bullet 4. Levels not found in this booklet are assessed by teachers, who have to compare the music in the booklet with the music performed by the student. Slide 20. Bullet 6. Importantly, the difficulty level for an improvisation is based on the improvisation as a whole, not on the stimulus alone. Difficulty levels. We can now see how difficulty levels affect the marks for the performances we have assessed. In Performance 1, the raw mark for the piece was 26. This is a higher level piece, so it is scaled up to 30 marks due to the difficulty level. In Performance 2, the first piece is more difficult level, so its raw mark of 32 is scaled up to 36 marks. The second piece is higher level, and so its raw mark of 29 is scaled up to 33. The average of these performances comes to 34.5 marks, which is rounded up to 35 marks as the final mark. Similarly, Performance 3 was of higher level pieces, so, by a process of averaging and rounding up, its final mark is 38. Use of technology. Some students may want to use technology to enhance their performance, such as using effects or special sounds on the electric guitar. Performances making use of technology are assessed in exactly the same way as those not making use of technology. It is the live part of any performance that is assessed. Students may submit sequenced work, but the sequenced tracks are not assessed, just the part played live over them. The difficulty level is also based only on this live part. As with all performances, a score or similar detailed commentary needs to be provided so that an effective and fair assessment can be made. Improvised performance. Assessment criteria. We are now going to look at the assessment of improvisations. Improvised performances use the same assessment criteria for the holistic mark and for the detailed criteria 1, quality of outcome, and 4, tone and technique. There are 3 new detailed assessment criteria for improvised performances. See specification, pages 77, 78, and 80. Criterion 2 is now called using the stimulus. This assesses the performance and development of the stimulus. Criterion 3 is now called coherence. It assesses the structure of the improvised performance and the balance of unity and variety in it. Criterion 5 is now called use of resources. It assesses the exploration of the potential of the instrumental resources during the improvisation. Improvisation, Performance 4. Now we will apply these assessment criteria to 2 improvised pieces. You will only hear the pieces once, but that should be sufficient to enable you to practice using the alternative assessment criteria. Play audio track 4. The first piece was placed in the excellent holistic band, with a mark range of 31 to 35. The individual criteria marks were 7, 5, 6, 7, 6. This gives a total of 31 marks. The improvisation is at standard level. The second piece was placed in the confident holistic band, with a mark range of 26 to 30. The individual criteria marks were 6, 6, 5, 6, 6. This gives a total of 29 marks. Again, this improvisation is at standard level. This student's performance overall achieved 30 marks. 31 plus 29 equals 60, divided by 2. Ensemble, Performance 5. Ensembles can be either performances from a score or improvisations. We are going to listen to an example of an ensemble performance from a score. The part assessed is a soprano line in a vocal quartet accompanied by piano. Play audio track 5. This ensemble falls into the confident holistic band with a mark range of 26 to 30. It is a convincing performance, but not entirely secure. Technical difficulties are evident in places, although there is a clear awareness of balance between the parts. One pitching error is quite obtrusive. The tempo is appropriate and the performance is generally fluent. Tone quality is good, but breath control is not always effective, and the dynamic range could have been greater. The individual criteria marks here, based on the performance from score criteria, were 5, 7, 7, 5, 5. This gave a total of 29 marks. The music is equivalent to grade 5, that is easier than standard level. This total of 29 stands as the final mark. Notice that the quality of the work was not such that the highest band needed to be accessed in any of the 5 detailed criteria. Remember that for easier music, the highest band of marks cannot be awarded. For music that is easier still, the 2 top bands are out of bounds. Criterion 6. Slide 26, Bullet 1. Criterion 6 is applied at the end of the marking process and refers to the Unit 4 program as a whole, not to any piece individually, unless the program consists of one extended piece only. Slide 26, Bullets 2 and 3. Criterion 6 is unique to Unit 4 and recognizes the advanced interpretive and planning skills that are expected at A2 level. It is used to assess the structure and planning of the program and offers the teacher the opportunity to give a musical impression of the performance as a whole. Further information on Criterion 6. Criterion 6 marks are out of 10, so that the final Unit 4 mark is out of 50. Criterion 6 marks should be worked out in the following way. Where, as is usually the case, the program consists of 2 or more pieces, calculate the average of marks awarded out of 40 for these pieces. For example, with marks of 38 and 36, the average is 37. Now compare the average of marks awarded with the holistic mark bands used to calculate marks for individual pieces. Find the key word for the holistic mark band that matches the final average mark. For example, Outstanding. Choose a Criterion 6 mark that roughly corresponds with the key word. It doesn't have to be exactly the same. If teachers feel that the candidate did either slightly better or slightly worse than the corresponding statements, then they should feel free to award the mark that they feel best describes their candidate's work. Centres should bear in mind that if their candidates' marks for individual pieces are adjusted, then they might find that their Criterion 6 mark is also adjusted. I hope that now you are able to apply the assessment criteria for this unit with confidence. I hope also that you understand how to apply difficulty levels and to create the average mark, and how to arrive at the final mark for the unit, incorporating the Criterion 6 mark. On screen at the moment are some links to other information which may be useful when preparing your AS students for their examination. You will be aware that GCSEs and GCEs are changing. Do keep alert to these changes and sign up for alerts on the website. New specifications for GCE Music AS and A-Level for first teaching in 2016 may be seen on the Edexcel website. I hope you have found this event helpful in preparing to assess your students' work for A2 performance. Please don't forget the online evaluation form.